all around. 2 minutes and everything. No, we could do. I don't know what you were playing there before I stopped. Oh, beautiful.
You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Good evening, everybody. It is once again time for This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. I'm Hobbs, he's Ben. You are in Clown World, and we are about halfway through June, and it is indeed White Boy Summer. Yes.
I never gave up on the dream. I kept the camo pants and Hawaiian shirts going the whole time.
Yes, indeed. And well, you see, I've always had the flag in the background, and I knew a few weeks ago, actually about 4 weeks ago, I went out, I bought this shirt, I bought these glasses because things were a little bit heated in certain parts of the world, and I said, ooh, it's going to be a white boy summer. And 4 weeks ago, I ordered the Camo Burger King crown. And they're not a sponsor or anything. And I just got it the other day. But
what's that?
From Moonlight Industries. You can search them on the Google machine. And they'll take you to where you can get your own crown. They've got a number of different camouflage patterns for you to use, and that will get you one of these.
Do they have it in RBS?
I'll have to double check, but I think they actually might.
You almost have to.
Yeah, if you know, you know. But
So,
anyways, yeah.
White Boy Summer's kicking off, in Ireland especially.
Yeah, that's I think is probably going to be a big part of tonight's episode. Is going to be covering what's actually happening over in Belfast and in Northern Ireland. I've been seeing a lot. I'm sorry, I've got other kids that are yelling at me right now. But been seeing a lot of yeah. When you've got 5 of them, they kind of get to be a little bit hard to handle, but they are pretty darn cute. But yeah, things going on in no more talking. But things are kind of kicking off in Belfast. So there seems to be a bit of a snowball effect of some of the stuff that's going on in in the UK right now. And this is Northern Ireland in the UK. It's not actually Ireland. And I've been seeing a lot of people very
so the area where they still have a large English presence then?
Well, there's been a bit of confusion about where it is when people hear Ireland, people hear Ireland and they see houses being burned down and guys in balaclavas throwing Molotov cocktails around. They immediately think IRA because but these are actually more of the loyalist British Northern Ireland, not the IRA. And there's been a few Irish nationalist accounts that have been saying that Sinn Féin, which is the political arm of the IRA, their political party, are essentially multi-culti globo homo socialists now, which means that the IRA is much the same. For decades and decades and decades, the IRA was fighting and dying to make sure that Ireland was for the Irish. And now Sinn Féin is the majority party in Ireland, and they say that Ireland is still for the Irish and everybody else except the English. That seems to be the overwhelming sentiment that they have. Would you stop? Just sit still and be nice. Look pretty. But yeah, it's this is actually the Northern Ireland. These are people who are and consider themselves to be British subjects, not the Republican Irish. Was it the Ulster Defence League or something? That's
Right.
the yeah, that's the other side of the Troubles, and those are going to be the they're doing. However, hearkening back to the Troubles, we see Catholics and Protestants united as one to kick out the foreign invaders. So that's pretty good as far as like
So why? So the Northern Ireland region that's has British influence is the one wanting to stop the immigration. Then
yes.
seems
That's
so
where
weird.
that's where all the violence is happening right now. I'm sure that there are very large segments of Republican Ireland that are also feeling the exact same way. But considering that the crime happened in Belfast in Northern Ireland, that's where things are kicking off right now. There's also been similar violent protests happening in Glasgow, Scotland, and I believe also in Aberdeen, which is also in Scotland. And the temperature is rising across the greater UK.
Yeah, I'm just pulling some stuff up here. Brutal stabbing attack in Belfast sparks calls for anti-immigration protests in Northern Ireland. This was 3 days ago.
Yeah, it wasn't a stabbing attack. It was an attempted beheading. A Sudanese migrant tackled and assaulted a. They said he was special needs, which made me initially think that he might be like, mentally. Here, you go with Nana. That he might be like have some mental challenges to him, but his special needs is that he's deaf or mostly deaf. And by all accounts, what happened was he was the neighbor of this Sudanese guy and was helping him move in just days prior. And then for whatever reason, the guy decides he's going to chimp out and attempt to cut his head off with a box knife in the street, just in front of God and everybody, tackled the guy, slashed at his face. The guy ended up losing his left eye, damaged his right eye. He's got cuts and slashes all over his face and all over his neck where the guy tried to cut his head off with this box knife. And some bystanders were filming it and yelling at him to get off until one of them managed to get a hurling stick out of his house.
Mhm.
And they came over and whacked the guy in the head until he let go, and the police showed up and took him away. And watching the video, you might be able to still find it, but I think that the Irish government is doing a pretty good job of trying to clamp down on its distribution, and we'll get into that in a little bit, I'm sure. But you can watch in the video, the guy with the hurling stick comes over and starts wailing away on the guy trying to get him off of him, and then one of the Irish ladies is like, "Oh, look, there's the copper, stop it, stop it, stop it." Because over in the UK, they're more concerned with appearances of racism. So you've got this white Irish guy beating the shit out of one of these migrants, even though the migrant has a guy who's got his face slashed to ribbons in a headlock, and the Irish people are more concerned with the cops coming over and mistaking it for a case of the racism.
Well, that ties into what happened a week or two ago with the guy that got stabbed.
Yeah, Henry Novak.
You know, they just let him die in the street because they decided it was a case of racism.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they didn't decide it was a case of racism. They got a call from the stabber's brother.
Yeah, I heard the call.
And the stabber's brother was like, "Yeah, my brother just got attacked racially, got assaulted racially." And the cops showed up in like
He said
3
by a
minutes.
random white guy.
Yeah, and cops showed up in like 3 minutes, and they had to drag his body out from underneath of a car, and then laid him on his stomach and handcuffed him behind his back. That probably contributed to the guy's death.
How did he end up under the car?
He was trying to escape, and he didn't like get under the car. He was kind of like trying to run down the alleyway or the driveway to escape, and there's the car and the side of the house, and he was trying to run down there, and he like collapsed in there and just kind of like rolled under a little bit. So we got actually quite a few comments over here on the Rumble channel.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had to flip up the things here and get in really close because I'm not wearing my prescription lenses here. So we've got somebody try to start an end tower. Mac tonight, yeah.
You tried. You tried.
Yeah. What is in the corn over there? Awesomeness. Some orange and green shamrock Hawaiian shirts. Actually, no, not orange and green shamrock shirts, because this is not in the Republican part of Ireland. This is actually in the British Loyalist part of Ireland. 308 supremacist said comment censored on YouTube. Is the child going to throw a Roman?
I did not know comments were being suppressed on YouTube, so
yeah,
wouldn't surprise me.
Ben met my kids last week, and he'll tell you that throwing a Roman would probably be not exactly out of the question. You never know what these kids are going to do. For whatever reason, we know why. This is a hurry from the Irish sport of hurling, a combination of hockey and murder. A hurling sticker will be charged and lose everything. Yeah, probably. That is unfortunate. Self-defense or in defense of others is not viewed kindly.
I'm surprised a guy could even get a box cutter in Ireland. Apparently they have more lax knife laws than England.
Well, where there's a will, there's a way, and a box knife is just a tool. You know, I don't know.
Assuming hurling sticks will be banned next month.
Yeah, more than likely. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there's a clip that's been floating around for a couple of months of actor Idris Elba talking about knife crime in the UK, and his galaxy-brained idea was that knife manufacturers need to start making kitchen knives with no point. And I've seen these knives. There are a few manufacturers who make these knives where it looks like just a normal kitchen knife, only instead of coming to a point, it's just 90 degrees cut off.
Like a meat cleaver almost?
No, even more retarded. Because a meat cleaver serves a purpose being shaped the way it is. This is just a regular kitchen knife with the point just clipped off. And then his other big brained ideas was like, and if you have something that is collectible or an antique like a sword, like just register it. And it's like, oh yes, I'm sure that the changing consumer habits, as we call them nowadays, are just going to rush to the door to register the swords that they have, or the machetes, or the zombie knives, as they call them.
So the guy gets nearly an attempted beheading, and I take it the locals were not happy with it.
No, this is part of the snowballing effect, because right now we've got several high-profile cases of immigrants behaving badly in Europe and especially in the UK that are being brought to light and prominence by Rupert Lowe and the Restore Party. Rupert Lowe is a member of Parliament. He's the leader of Restore, and God willing, he's going to be the Prime Minister of the UK in 2029. He, I believe, out of his own pocket, because he's an independently wealthy man, funded the inquiry into the rape gangs that Nigel Farage promised that the UK government would do, and then just completely dropped the ball on a few months ago. So I think Rupert dipped into his own not insignificant funds and decided that he was going to fund the whole thing. They got sworn statements from several of the victims of these crimes, as well as other witnesses that were reticent to come forward, and it was a big deal. He got up in front of Parliament and read the interviews and sworn statement transcripts in front of Parliament, and they were... Sex crime for the purposes of sex are bad enough, especially when they're done on vulnerable people or minors. But some of the things that he was reading made it very abundantly clear that what was being perpetrated was not about horny dudes getting their rocks off. It was about domination and humiliation of the native British people. The overwhelming demographic of victims were native white British, with a minority of Sikh individuals, because the Sikhs, up until recently, were viewed as kind of a model minority, and they integrated very well into British society. They were, by and large, very law-abiding and whatnot. So, and if you go back in history, the entire purpose of Sikhism was a direct response to the spread of Islam within Western India. So the Sikhs and the Muslims do not like each other. So some of their women were targeted, but it was the overwhelming majority were white English girls. And there were some of the testimonies of being beaten while being raped, being verbally abused while being raped with foreign objects, putting a dog in the room and men watching and taking bets on whether or not the dog would rape a girl. And it humiliating stuff. This is a weapon of conquest, not a trade in sexual gratification. And so that is big in the spotlight. Then you have the stabbing of Henry Novak, which actually took place in December, but the trial concluded recently, and the trial concluding recently allowed the details of the case to be spread far and wide. And then you've got what happened in Belfast the other night it's just another compounding thing as the snowball rolls down the hill. And what makes the thing that happened in Belfast so, I guess, flammable, so combustible to what's going on in Ireland right now is the fact that, one, the proximity to the Henry Novak details being made more public, all of that is still fresh in people's mind. Two, it's on camera. Three, the horrific nature of just, trying to cut somebody's head off with a box knife is like, that would take some effort and a substantial amount of torture and pain. And four, the thing that really hit people is that the guy who he was trying to kill was helping him move into his taxpayer-funded apartment next door the day prior. So it's not like they had some kind of a feud or something going on. So, it snowballed everything out of control. And then for the past few nights, the protest and yell at the government phase seems to have run its course, and people are taking matters into their own hands. You had thousands of Irish men put on balaclavas, and they were going door to door to suspected HMOs, which are high. I
just saw that term.
Yeah, it's high something occupancy. It means that there's like more than one family living in a house.
Houses of multiple occupation.
There you go. Houses of multiple occupation. So you got multiple families living in these houses. They're almost always immigrants or refugees, and they're almost always government subsidized housing. So you had these Irish guys that were going door to door, finding where the HMOs were, and in some cases dragging the people out. And the Irish police made it very clear whose side they were on. They were escorting immigrants out of the neighborhoods. They were using water cannons on the protesters. And things were, for a little while, getting very, very ugly.
And that brings us up to present day, I guess. It's surprising. The UK is kind of a surveillance state. So these guys that are doing this they're going to get caught. I mean, they're risking everything.
Maybe not. Because Ben, the end of the Troubles was in recent memory. Mm-hmm. And the people who were participating in the Troubles still have some old hats that know a thing or two about OPSEC. the there was a dedicated effort by people on the ground. If they saw somebody filming with their phone or a camera, they would go up to them and they would take the camera and be like, no offense. And they did it like, not like Antifa where they'll snatch your shit and break it and run you out.
Yeah.
But they would go up to people filming and be like, please stop doing that. I'm going to look through your photos to make sure that you do not dox anybody that's out here doing this. And then once I'm done doing that, I'm going to give you your phone back and you are going to fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did. People who were participating in the rioting were specifically told to leave any electronic devices at home, wear clothing that obscures your face, and one of the notices that I said was it specifically said to be prepared to fight or be arrested.
And I saw some videos of the cops arresting people too. Beating them with their riot shields, stuff like that.
Yeah, that I think was probably from the Henry Novak protests, because those people were unarmed and they were being loud and rowdy, but by and large nonviolent. The protesters in Belfast have escalated to violence, and the police realize that there's a lot more of the protesters than there are of them, and actually kind of gave them a pretty wide berth and more or less occupied their time with defending and escorting foreigners than actively engaging with the protesters.
I'm trying to find some recent updates on but apparently thousands attended anti-racism rallies following unrest in Belfast. It is the story I'm finding. Just seeing what was new with it. Calls for calm ahead of planned protests. They're pushing this anti-racism rally in Belfast. So,
of course they are. Of course they are. This is the astroturfing of the machine trying to push back against the organic uprising, the organic displeasure of the people in Northern Ireland to something that they not only view, but it has become abundantly clear that this has been done to them, and the people who have done it to them literally do not care about what they feel about it.
And you don't have an alternative media in Europe. You know what I mean?
They've got pretty good censorship.
Yeah, they've got one or two forms of media, and that's all they get. There's not, a left or a right or even an alternate. I mean, they have X and everything, but there's not like popular alternative media sources in Europe like we have here.
Right. And that's why the Europeans have a view of America that is being utterly shattered by recent visitors for the World Cup.
Great segue. I was hoping you'd make it. I mean, this guy.
There. Yeah.
Your boy Freddie.
Yeah. Yeah, this German guy that's just absolutely getting just the American
Multiple
experience.
People. I mean, I've seen some Norwegians posting. I mean, let me throw Freddie's X feed up here. I mean, he's hitting it all. He's hitting Buc-ee's. He's
Waffle House.
He's hitting gun stores. He's hitting Bass Pro Shop. I mean, we're seeing it literally. The European mind cannot comprehend because they get it. So I have some European friends, and they get such a filtered view of America through their media, like we were talking about, or by watching mainstream television like Netflix. Their view of America is, it's pushed out there by shows on Netflix and Hulu and whatever comes out in the mainstream media. They have no idea about the rest of America.
Right. The view that I think that most Europeans have of the United States is that everybody's fat, everybody's unhealthy, and the entire country is like a real life PvP server where
Mhm.
every day is a running gun battle. Where, I'm sure we don't have a whole lot of European people listening right now, but if we do, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you want to come to America and you want to experience American hospitality, which is some of the best in the world, if you want to have an American experience that is almost a frontier experience where with hospitable people doing fun things without all of the regulation and the bullshit, and if you want to do it in a safe and fun manner, go to your most normie European friend and ask them to name as many American cities as they can, and then don't go to any of those places.
Yeah, I saw a graphic of the most popular tourist destinations for Europeans, and number 1 and 2 was New York and Los Angeles.
Yeah, and
No
that's
wonder
why.
Europeans think America is the way it is. If that's where they're experiencing and going back to Europe.
Yeah, and that's understandable because everybody around the world knows what New York City is. Everybody knows what Los Angeles is, Miami, Chicago, because they're in all of the TV shows and the movies and the songs and everything. They're big famous cities. Just stay away from any of those places. You'd be more happy. You know what? I actually remember this story. There was some a British couple. They were vacationing in Florida, and they were up somewhere in the Panhandle, so like not near Miami or Orlando or whatever. They were up in the Panhandle, kind of in the sticks, and they were just driving around, and they got some gas at a gas station that was like right on a riverbank,
Hmm.
and some good old boys pull up in an airboat, and they'd never seen an airboat before. And so they go down and they're looking at the airboat and they're like, "Oh wow, what is this? What is this for?" And the guy was explaining it to him, and he's like, "Shit, you want to go on a ride?" And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, jump on. We'll go for a ride." And they got on and they rode around. And instead of just going for a ride, it turned into an all-day affair where they rode around on the airboat. They pulled up on a little island in a swamp. They had a barbecue. They shot some guns. And then at the end of the night, this guy and his old lady are leaning up against a tree looking at the sunset and taping themselves, and the guy's like almost on the verge of tears, and he's just like, everything I was told about this place was 180 degrees from factuality. He's like, these are the nicest people in the world. Complete strangers showed us the time of our lives. They fed us, they took us around, they showed us the fun things that they love to do here. He's like, I love this place and I love these people. And he's like, and
Yeah.
you will too if you know where to go.
I mean, I'm in kind of a tourist area, and we have Europeans show up out here once in a while, and they have the time of their life. They'll run into people locally. They'll get welcomed in their house. They'll take them around, showing them around. Um, yeah, they just have such a twisted view that the media has fed them of America. Great idea putting some of these FIFA locations out of the way so that they get to see the real America.
Right.
I'm sure it wasn't planned. Maybe it was by somebody who knew, but it's probably all accidental by FIFA that the rest of the world gets to see real America.
Yeah, there's some of the ones like that guy Freddie, the German guy. He seems to be having the two America experiences where he's getting like the small town, courteous, beautiful side of America, and that's blowing him away. And then he's also getting the extravagant, larger than life. Everything is like, we do everything huge in America. Like when he went to Auburn Stadium and he was just like, what the fuck is this place?
I think he's driving around an F-150 or something, isn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
I remember he commented, "Why is it? I didn't understand why everybody was in a pickup, but now I do." And it's like, yeah.
It's comfy.
And just the price of stuff too is surprising. I don't know how much Europeans are spending on stuff, but like he posted a picture like, "Oh my God, I got all this for $15." and it was food. It was just like bananas, a protein drink, and some other things. So, and one thing that I've seen a couple posts about is people amazed at the price of gas here.
Oh yeah, the energy prices over there are unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Even when things weren't, going on with like Ukraine and the Nord Stream pipeline. I remember, shit, it would have been probably 15 years ago. I was dating a German girl. I bring her up every once in a while just because that's my only real, real connection to Europe. But yeah, she would say that like our gas prices at the time were like $1.89 a gallon, and I was mad about that. And she's like, "We pay $1.89 a liter."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "How many liters are in a gallon?" She's like, "About 4.5 or 5." I'm like, why? why are you paying so much for gas? And it's a combination of energy scarcity. They don't have oil over there, and it's also green insanity, where they're trying to disincentivize vehicle ownership.
Yeah, I'm looking at his route here. He flew into Chattanooga, and then he drove down through Alabama, hit New Orleans, and then he went over to Houston. So I mean, you can't get much more real America than that.
Yeah.
I just realized too, this is going to be going on through the 4th of July, isn't it?
I did see a post that a guy said something like the World Cup tourists are going to be here for the 4th of July, and I cannot wait to see their reaction when some redneck lights off a firework called Hitler's rectum in their driveway.
It's a big one too. This is the 250th. They're about to get their minds blown by the amount of explosives that Americans are willing to shoot off. Crazy times.
Crazy.
And I wonder if that'll carry forward. They're gonna take that back with them, and they'll realize that there are two Americas. We'll end up like best friends with the Japanese. We'll have the real Europe reaching out to the real Americans again.
Yep. Then the Japanese American love in on Twitter is still, it's not as big as it was, but I still see things pop up. Japanese people, American bros, is it true that you do X, Y, and Z? And there'll people be like, no, we do it much bigger than that.
Yeah, great thing to be happening. That's everybody around the world. You have Europeans, Asians coming over to see, those stadiums. Kansas City has a stadium. I mean, I hope it works out well for them if they go to Kansas City, but there's some good spots around there. I hope there's sightseeing along the way, which is good to see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because we talk shit, but we love America. We just don't like the leadership.
Yeah.
Which one of our leaders that we have some small amount of respect for still. You mentioned this. I didn't know about it. RFK is looking to pull his escape.
That seems to be what's going on in the rumor mill right now, is that RFK will soon be stepping down as head of Health and Human Services, which with Tulsi gone now, that's pretty much the coalition completely dissolved now.
Mm-hmm. Have there been any reasons floating around, or just, I mean, he's staying under the radar. I haven't heard shit about him hardly. He's just doing work over there.
Yeah, I know. That's what's kind of bugging me about it, is like, is he leaving or is he being forced out? Because his supporters they're not as vocal as some other single issue voter blocks on what they deem as important, but they are a vocal minority, and they may see things not getting done as fast as they like, or reneging on certain things like the glyphosate exemption that got snuck in, or any number of things. And maybe he's leaving on his own because he agrees that things aren't getting done to his liking, and he's just like, if I can't do what I need to do, then I'm just going to throw up my hands and try and do things in other places. Or maybe the administration is like, hey, if you leave, then these people will shut up, so get out. I don't know.
I mean, and I don't know about Tulsi. I mean, I saw her husband she's posted a photo of from the hospital. He's getting treatment.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that she left for the reason she stated, and she wasn't forced out, or there's any conspiracy there.
Yeah.
I mean, RFK had a huge following of people that followed him into the Trump administration. That's bad news for 28 coming up.
Yeah, MAGA is kind of falling apart right now, and there's one of two paths that I see going forward is JD Vance is going to have to start distancing himself from these monumental fuck ups of the last 6 months. The Iran war, the Section 224 of the NDAA, which we haven't really talked about much, but we can get into that, and a bunch of other stuff. This weird satrophy relationship that we seem to be having with Israel, where they just are taking over everything. He's going to have to distance himself from that, or he is absolutely toast, because the Democrats are not going to vote for him, and the Republicans might just stay home or vote for a different candidate in the primary entirely. The other thing that I see possibly coming is another Republican stepping in who is already a bit at odds with the Trump administration. And with something that I saw today, that very well could be Ron DeSantis again. Because I think that Ron DeSantis and Trump never really kissed and made up after DeSantis's attempted primary challenge in 24. And
which he's still been killing it down in Florida.
Yeah, he is without a doubt the absolute best governor that Florida's ever had. He's possibly one of the best governors of any state in this entire country's history. He is giving it hell down there. And the reason that I say that he might be attempting to step into the Republican primary next year or 2 years from now is the fact that right now he's being term limited out as governor of Florida. He cannot run again. The two people that are in a pretty high stakes battle right now for the Republican nomination is Byron Donalds and James Fishback. Now, Byron Donalds is a former congressman, and he's got Trump's endorsement. James Fishback is kind of an out-of-nowhere, dark horse populist candidate.
Yeah, I've never heard of him.
He came out of nowhere. He's got a very America first, in some ways America only, and he's doing the rounds, and he's making a lot of waves and gaining a lot of support. And the Florida GOP is trying to kneecap him at every opportunity. And today, Ron DeSantis came out. He didn't endorse James Fishback, but he did condemn the state GOP for their actions against James Fishback and his attempts to run for governor. He even said that if the GOP had done to him what they're doing to James Fishback, then Ron DeSantis would not be the governor. Because there was...
the Nebraska GOP made the same mistake of, picking favorites. And, I don't want to go into details, but the GOP in Nebraska is in shambles.
Yeah.
For that same reason.
Which is stupid, because this state is about as blood red as you can get.
Right.
So maybe, are they incompetent, or are they just taking it for granted, or what?
Yes.
It always seems to be a little column A and a little column B.
Yeah. And I think JD Vance has been distancing himself for a little while now. I saw something going around. People were giving him shit for losing weight. So
it's because we want the meme.
Yeah, so I was just going to say he's ruining all their memes. He's dropped like 30 or 40 pounds, he says, just through diet and exercise. But, cleaning his image up a little, keeping his distance. He sees a field that's out there. I mean, he's going to have DeSantis or Rubio to deal with. Those are probably going to be his main challengers.
And that will be a bit of a bloodbath, because I think that at this point, with all of the good work that Vance has done and the good public image that he still has, at least amongst the base, and with all of the good work and good image that Marco Rubio has managed to accumulate amongst himself for the as the Secretary of State. I think probably what it's going to come down to is both of them standing before Trump in the Oval Office and him flipping a coin, and whoever guesses correctly is going to be president, and whoever guesses incorrectly is going to be the vice presidential candidate. They might go through a primary just to go through the motions, but it's really going to be a toss-up between those two. DeSantis getting into the race is going to shake things up.
Yeah, his endorsement still carries a lot of weight, even if he's unpopular. It'll get somebody through the primary, that's for sure.
Unfortunately, because we got saddled with another 6 years of Ladybug Lindsey Graham, thanks to the Trump endorsement. Mark Lyons, I think his name was the guy that was challenging Lindsey Graham, and he looked to be making a lot of headway and seemed to be pretty popular. He had a lot of enthusiasm on the ground, and yet when it came to election day, Lindsey Graham beat him by double, like 159,000 to like 79,000 or something like that. It was a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
And Lindsey Graham has got to be, like, when they say that Congress has an approval rating of 9%, I would like to say that Lindsey Graham is probably carrying a substantial amount of that weight.
Yeah, well, he had a Trump endorsement, and that's what carried that goober that ran against Massey through.
Yeah, exactly. We are living in the 1,000-year boomer Reich.
Yeah, Nancy Mace lost her bid. I forget even who won over her, but that was also another Trump endorsement.
Yep. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned. The Eye of Mordor is casting its gaze on Lauren Boebert, so she'll probably be ousted in her election, her primary coming up soon. So, I mean, 1,000-year boomer Reich.
I just think your average GOP voter just doesn't know what to pick, and they like Trump, so they just go with whatever he says.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, what he's saying is just as a sock puppet for Bibi.
Which, for some reason, the former Democrat President Obama doesn't throw that same leverage around. He could be influencing races left and right in his party, but it seems like he just kind of keeps to himself.
I think he's shadow directing a lot of things behind the scenes, a lot of shady things, and so he doesn't want to cast a whole lot of light on what he does.
Which all these GOP primaries, you don't hear shit about the Democrat primaries. I mean,
I said, Obama is engineering things behind the scenes, and they've already got who they're going to have be the winner.
And a lot of times, any media is good media, so these people are going into November with a bunch of earned media already against the Democrats. So it might not end up being as bad as everybody. I mean, seems like a lot of the GOP's doom and gloom for November.
Yep. Speaking of GOP doom and gloom, we also have the story of Spencer Pratt in Los Angeles. Was narrowly ousted from being in the runoff against Karen Bass by magical mail-in ballots.
Weird as shit. I mean, you would think that the ballots coming in would have some. It seems like all the ballots are coming in were for the commie chick instead of Karen Bass, because if Karen Bass's numbers go up, that still helps Spencer Pratt.
Exactly.
And such a screwy system they have there.
Yeah, so for people who are unaware, California has what they call a jungle primary, where rather than having an intra-party primary to make your Republican or your Democrat or your Libertarian or whatever candidate and then have them go off in a general election, you have what's called a jungle primary, where anybody who wants to run under any party affiliation runs in just like a free-for-all primary. And then by the end of it, your top two go to the runoff in the general. And the way that it works is you could have two Democrats, you could have two Republicans, you could have a Republican and a Libertarian and a largely Democrat-run state. I mean, it's really anybody's game. It's a really interesting way to run a primary. But the thing that makes this one so contentious and a lot of people are scratching their heads over is that Spencer Pratt had a ground game that was unbelievable. He had some of these AI filmmakers making these viral AI ads, and people were enthusiastic about it. He's a former reality star, so he's got a little bit of like name recognition. He lost everything in the Palisades fire, so he's got skin in the game. He's got plans, economic plans and restructuring of the government plans in order to start getting the rebuilding going after the Palisades fire. So he had a lot of stuff going for him, and he came in second place after current incumbent mayor Karen Bass, and then suddenly the mail-in ballots started to get counted.
The other chick was crying on election night because she thought she was behind by so much.
Yeah.
And the way California does it too, they mail all their ballots whether you ask for one or not.
Yep.
And so you can register, and homeless people can be registered to vote, which fine, you're homeless. But some of these homeless shelters had 1,600 ballots going to them for names of who knows who, or if they've moved on or whatever.
And with ballot harvesting, and California actually has laws on the books saying that it is illegal to ask for somebody's ID at point of balloting. So, yeah, fraud.
They've been so obvious about it. It's like they don't even care. Like how I said how the vote totals, none of the mail-in votes after the fact were for Karen Bass. They were all for this commie chick.
Mm-hmm. Right, because that's the way that's the way the scam works. Is you're voting on voting day, and then you figure out how many votes you need to rig it the way you want to, and then you start counting mail-in votes.
Mm-hmm. And they can accept they have until like July 9th to finish counting their mail-in votes. And as long as the mail-in votes have a postmark of the day of the election, I mean, how hard is it to fake a postmark? It can't be that hard. Make a fucking rubber stamp. Bam, bam, bam.
Or get a buddy at the post office to roll the stamp back a day or two.
Yeah, just the fact that they mail them out to everybody, whether they want them or not. That's it's so obvious. I mean, good for them for coming up with a system that keeps them in power, I guess. I hate California, so I'm glad that they're either going to get Karen Bass or a commie to run Los Angeles. Run that shit directly into the ground.
If it wasn't for our buddy, the Rebels Raider SMG living out there, I'd say just drop a nuke on it from orbit.
So, yeah, that Spencer Pratt thing, I forgot about that. And I've been following that a little bit just because I'm interested in elections. That was just so blatantly obvious. They should just not even count their federal votes for anything.
Yeah, but then, like Donald Trump was arguing in an interview the other day that he walked out on, where they do it in such a way where you look at it and you're like, come on, this is obviously cheating. Mm-hmm. You guys have obviously stuffed ballots, but where's your evidence? Where's your evidence? It's my fucking eyeballs, dude.
Yeah, you have 1,600 homeless votes at one homeless shelter, all for one lady. I'm sure. And there was homeless guys. I saw a couple of things on X of homeless guys saying they were paid $5 to sign their ballots, or pack smokes.
There's your evidence right there.
And it showed this. There was this van. It was in like a homeless encampment, collecting just homeless people were going up. They were doing something it was like a drone footage or something, going up, doing something with a ballot, leaving with like food and cigarettes. It's like,
it's open bribery. It's electioneering. Yeah. It's illegal. So to what's her name, Kristen Welker, I think was the one pestering Donald Trump about where's your evidence? Well, there's your evidence right there. Pay for play, pay for votes, bribery, election interference. Ridiculous.
Let's close out on something a little fun here. You brought this up and I saw it floating around, so I'm going to throw it up here. Here it is.
Oh boy! So if you guys want to go down a rabbit hole, if you're listening and not watching, this is the picture. It's AI generated, but people were thinking that it was real. It's Trump with the so-called Nordic aliens. They're like 7 feet tall, have hair so blonde it's practically white, skin translucent. I mean, yeah, I just said that there's some Norwegian football fans here for the World Cup, but apparently people are thinking these are the so-called Nordic aliens, which is a whole thing into itself.
And you said it was posted on an X account that isn't a parody or a satire site, right?
Yeah, it was posted by some guy who said like this was just posted on the White House website and then quickly taken down or something like that. And it wasn't, but him putting that caption on there made people think that it was. So it spread around like wildfire. But yeah, it's an AI generated image of Trump with the Nordics. And the Nordics are very, very interesting. Apparently, what they are is they're an ascended being of light from the far, far future. They're basically humanity evolved.
I think I saw this
And
episode of Stargate.
yeah, probably. And they've come back in time to hybridize with humans in order to ensure their genetic legacy so that they can become in what's called a bootstrap paradox, where you like become your own grandpa or something like that. And they're diametrically opposed to the gray aliens because the Nordics are an ascended people that live in harmony with the universe, whereas the Greys have been subsumed by technological advances, and it's the Greys' influence that is the reason that we're having this push for AI data centers, because much in the same way that the Nordics came back in time to biologically hybridize themselves to ensure their own existence, the Greys are coming back in time to influence politics, to develop data centers so that the great Cyber Satan will take over the world and ensure their existence in the future.
Where does
And
Yakub
because of
fit
the
into
way,
this?
peace be upon him, I do not know.
And the funny, I mean, we're laughing, but there's some people that really believe this stuff. I'm sure this photo is going to be popping up for a while now on MAGA websites.
I've seen several variations of it with the Nordics hanging out with all sorts of famous people.
And also, did you see where they're turning the tunnels under Denver Airport? They're creating walkways for pedestrians. And somebody put out it was like a 10-step thing on how to react to the lizard people that are running around down there.
Man, Denver is a weird place. The Denver Airport. They got like the demon horse statue out front, and they got the weird murals on the walls. Like the first time I sat there and was looking at those murals that they have of like the communist takeover or whatever it is, I'm sitting there just like because it's weird. If you guys ever go to the Denver airport, you'll find the mural and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think they've taken some of them down, but yeah, there are still some weird ones there. Let's see if I can find a quick photo. Yeah, it's got a bunch of commie weird imagery in it. The lizard people are living under there. They're the ones that control the trains or something. And the Lucifer horse is something else if you've never seen it. But yeah, go look up Lucifer if you want to know what we're talking about. It's a giant horse with a bright red butthole. It's it's something.
Glowing red eyes.
Glowing red eyes. But yeah, that's a good way to end the show on the Nordic meetings. And
yes,
Yakub, peace be upon him, will probably counter whatever plans they have.
Yes. Of course, everybody, we didn't plug yet, so go to our website, rose2liberty.com, buy some freedom swag. Go follow us on Twitter at R2LPod on Twitter, and go to our affiliate link at thealexjonesstore.com/R2L. Give us some shekels.
Please do. And as always, stay honky and Nordic.